Senator Cassidy.
Thank you, Chair Sanders. Today we have the first legislative markup of this Congress to consider critically important legislation. I practiced for 20 to 30 years taking care of patients, uninsured, underinsured, and sometimes even well-insured. And the cost of prescription drugs could be an incredible barrier to they receiving the health care that they needed. I feel like on behalf of those patients, we are here today. While the process it took to get here was not easy, we have worked on two issues identified as key bipartisan priorities: pharmacy benefit manager reform and lowering the overall cost of prescription drugs. And I would say that I'm pretty proud of the legislation we put together. We improved upon bills that previously passed this committee to ensure that employers are best equipped to shop around for the highest quality, lowest cost health care benefits for their employees. We also bring much-needed transparency to an opaque structure in which middlemen have some sort of margin, we know not which, at the expense of customers and patients who use the service. We also push forward reforms to bring new, lower-cost generic drugs to market faster. And the solutions we have today are almost perfect examples of how we can lower drug costs without overhauling the entire healthcare system or threatening the incentives and ability to produce life-saving drugs in the future. All of this, I am concerned about the process. The chair seems to incline to abandon a carefully balanced, bipartisan piece of legislation we negotiated over the last several weeks. Did I get every policy I wanted? No. Did my side give on some things? Yes. But there are parts of this bill that I would want to be different, yes. But that is what you do when you have bipartisan negotiation. In announcing a bipartisan deal last week with the chair, I did so with the expectation that we would protect the hard work and compromise that we had put in over the last several weeks. To me, that meant honoring commitments in areas where we agreed to disagree. I'm informed that the chair intends to support the inclusion of several policies as amendments today that he and his staff had agreed to take off the table as part of a negotiated bipartisan deal essential to getting 60 votes on the floor. The overall package was negotiated in good faith on our side, with concessions made with the understanding and commitment from the chair and his staff that these policies would not be included. Now, any senator is entitled to file amendments to ask for her or his amendment to be considered. I applaud that. I don't begrudge any senator for asking for votes on an amendment. However, as leaders crafting and announcing this deal, there is an expectation that the chair and I will uphold the commitments we made in the negotiating room. That does not mean taking things off the table when we can't reach agreement, only to put them back on the table when we're here in the committee area. I am told, by the way, of the 4 amendments of which I am speaking, only one of the 4 were we given notice of the CBO score or of the technical assistance that had been rendered. And today we understand that they do have technical assistance and CBO scores. That's not the way to run a committee. I'm just saying that. And it's not the way that I build trust with my down dais, that we are actually working together as a team in order to get something accomplished. At some point, process matters. And I'm sorry to be a skunk in the room. One more thing. When I get that TA and I get that CBO, I can work my down dais to make sure that they're on board, my co-sponsor, Roger Marshall, and everybody else, and then I got to go to my conference. That should happen before we show up today, not for us to find out about it today, and so now I have to go and do that. Hopefully for these particular amendments, the chair will join me in moving to table or oppose to protect the deal we carefully crafted to not only report the legislation favorably out of committee, but to pass the full Senate in strong bipartisan fashion. With that, I yield.